Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Game Design and Development live stream for the Temasek Polytechnic Open House 2022. My name is Anna Rika, and I am a Year 2 student in the Diploma in Game Design and Development. I would like to now introduce our course chair, Dr. Nalaka. Could you share a little bit about the Diploma in Game Design and Development?
Thank you, Anna. The Diploma in Game Design and Development really focuses on a couple of things. The first thing is the game production pipeline. We extends from game design to game modeling to game development and coding. It also focuses on a lot of on more recent times in immersive media, simulation and digital twinning, where we do a lot of AR, augmented reality, or virtual reality VR as well. Okay, sometimes people call it mixed reality as well.
Okay, so what do students learn in the diploma?
Students who join us, learn a variety of subjects. Okay, in the first year, of course, they have a common year one of ICT, which is important. But from second year onwards, they go on to modules such as game development, game design, game modeling. For example, in game modeling, we focus on things using Maya. And game development and the other coding subjects, we of course focus on Unity. We are basically a Unity game engine diploma. And then, of course, as they proceed on, they have other modules such as programming with game engines, mixed reality application development, game AI. All these are really made for the students to be able to learn a holistic set of skills to be a game developer. Okay, and our job roles that we really target on in this diploma, the Diploma in Game Design and Development, is for really game developers and game designers.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Nalaka, for sharing.
Hi, Vanessa and Lurkun. Nice of the both of you to join us today. Now, this first question is for Lurkun. Would you say that it's necessary to have a good background in coding before entering this course?
Okay, so basically to answer your question, I would just like to share my background coming into this course, diploma, sorry. So basically, I came into this diploma with no background in IT or in programming in general. So I was a bit worried and nervous that I would be behind my peers. But however, you shouldn't worry, because year one is a foundation year. So they will assume that you're starting from scratch with zero experience, and they'll teach you the basics of programming. And then they'll also teach you the basics of web development, app development, and so on. Yeah.
I see, thank you. All right, next question to the both of you. What kind of games have you created during your time here in this course of game design and development? Vanessa, you can start first.
In my year 2, I have created a FPS for the younger audience that is for shooting the trash monsters, because our topic was about sea pollution. So our color of the whole team is actually vibrant because we are targeted towards the younger audience, and we have to have a cute little enemy so that they will be more attracted to it. Yeah.
All right, Lurkun?
Yeah, so I actually developed 2 games in year 2. So the first one is a 3D top-down shooter, and this was basically just to teach me about the whole game development process, from ideation to creation to the end product. The second game I made was with other group mates. So this module is called Game Development Project. So this taught me more soft skills like team communication and presentation skills, since you have to work with other teammates. Yeah, and the second game I made was a financial management game, which was in 2D.
I see. All right, thank you. And another question to Lurkun. What skills learned in this course do you think would be relevant when applying for a job in the game industry?
Okay, yeah. So this really depends on where you want to go or what career you want to take within the game development industry. So generally, you will fall in between 2 categories. Either you are a programmer or you're an artist. So since I'm more of a programmer, I would gravitate towards modules like, for example, programming with game engines, game development, and computational thinking. These are the modules that I think will help me more. But if you're an artist, I think you would find that modules like game UI, UX, or game modeling or game design are more useful for you.
I see. I understand. Okay. So, Vanessa, how did it feel like transitioning from a school-based environment to a professional workplace?
At first, I was prepared because in our school we have prepared the skills that and we gained it to prepare to go to the more professional workplace. So, for example, we were trained to do on a game engine and also on a contract software. So we were quite prepared when we were at first enter. So it makes me feel confident when we first started out. And as time goes by, of course, it will build up my confidence even more. And also in my internship, I will have like my weekly meetings with my fellow colleagues to update on each other or what we have done so that we won't override on each other. Then we also have our presentations with our supervisor to tell them about like what we have done in our game so that they know the progress of how much we have done. And also we have done research that are really important. If without research, we wouldn't be able to have a much more assurance of the game, and the end product of the game, and also user testing to test out the games if the game is entertaining to people. Yeah.
All right, thank you. Okay, last question for the both of you. Can you guys share a little bit more about what you all did during your internship?
Yeah, sure. So I'll go first for this. So currently, I'm a lead programmer in a game project called Serious Games Analytics. So this project is in collaboration with the Big Data and Analytics Diploma. So basically, what I'm in charge of developing the main features of the game. So like enemy movement, player movement, and boss AI, for example. Yeah.
For me, I'm currently working on a game with my intern group mates. It's called Crimson Song Adventure. So for my side, I'm more of a designer side. I usually do the level designing and creating the art assets, doing the 2D animation, and also the user testing on my people. Yeah, this is about it about my internship.
I see. Yeah, I've heard of the game, Crimson Song Adventure. I think it's a really cool game. All right, thank you, Vanessa and Lurkun, for joining us today and sharing your experiences. Today we have with us our Diploma Manager, Mr. Malcolm Grant, who will share more about the Diploma in Game Design and Development. Hello, Mr. Malcolm. Could you share with me the kinds of games that our students are developing in this course?
Of course. Our students generally make 2D and 3D games. They start off in year 2 by building their first game. It's not the most complex game, but they use Unity game engine and game assets. They can also use their own assets to make the game. Then they'll learn how to make more complex games using networking and multiplayer aspects and perhaps even some AI. And by year 3, our students will be working on real industry projects, working together to develop interesting, serious games. Most of these games bring together students who are both game designers and game developers.
Thank you. Next, what kind of skills do students learn in the course to produce such games?
Well, our students all undertake a common year 1 curriculum. This equips them with a strong IT foundation in areas such as programming, user experience, and interface design, as well as data analytics. In year 2 and 3, students will acquire more specialized skills to create games. Our curriculum has a good balance of both game design and game development subjects. In terms of design, we offer subjects such as game design, game modeling, game UI UX. And in terms of development, we offer obviously game development, game AI, and mixed reality application development. We train the students primarily for roles such as game designers and game developers. They can also take on roles as application developers and UI UX designers.
I see. Now, can you share a little about what some of our graduates have gone on to do?
Yeah, of course. One of our recent graduates was Richmond Lim. He graduated in 2017, and while he was doing NS, he developed his first game and released it. It had 100,000 downloads, and to me, I think that's quite impressive. He's now started his own startup company, and he's working on a sequel. Another student that comes to mind is Yi Kong. He joined DigiPen after finishing our course, and he's been working in various companies as well as some big games such as Disney Crossy Roads. He's working at Tencent, and now he's working at Apple.
Okay. Now may I ask, what are some of the further studies options after the diploma?
Well, our students have a great choice. They can go to a wide variety of different universities. A number of students may choose to go for DigiPen, and if they're interested in game development. While some of the other students, they may want to focus on more computer science, and they would do degrees at NUS, NTU, SMU.
I see. That's very interesting. And lastly, Mr. Malcolm, what kind of opportunities are there for our graduates?
GDD students have a great opportunity. The industry needs people with game industry experience. They're able to deal with deadlines, changing software and hardware requirements, and generally have better programming skills and are versatile for the industry's needs.
All right, thank you, Mr. Malcolm, for your sharing.
Hi, Yumi. Thank you for joining us today. Could you tell me a little bit more about what you're doing right now?
All right, what I'm doing right now, I'm currently in university. I'm at DigiPen in SIT. Wow, it's been quite a while since I've been back here, and university has been pretty interesting. It's very different from poly life, but soon in about a year, I'll be off for internships and stuff, and that's pretty exciting.
All right, thank you. So, what do you miss most about being in TP?
Oh, um, I miss my CCAs actually. I used to be in Dragon Boat. I know I don't look the type, but uh, used to be in Dragon Boat and another CCA called Japanese Cultural Group. Honestly, I miss the after school interactions from then. Part of it is, being sports, getting out there, and with JCG, I got to cook Japanese food, and who doesn't love Japanese food? And especially after school, I think everybody's gonna know this. Mala opposite school. That's where it's at. Yeah.
All right, yes, I also totally get that. I also used to go back there a few times after my CCA sessions in school. All right, how has the diploma prepared you for university?
To be completely honest, when I was first choosing which poly to go to, I was still pretty unsure about if I wanted to do games, like if I wanted to continue down that path. But I can definitely say now, being in TP actually grew my interest for it or kind of solidified my interest in games. Uh, Compared to other polys, TP's GDD is a bit more all-rounded, I would say. It doesn't necessarily steer you in programming or modeling or animation, and being all-rounded and having tried every aspect of it is what kept me interested. And I think it definitely helps even now, having that bit of experience with design, a bit of experience with coding, and I guess my biggest takeaway from that too is I also got to do a bit of UI, UX, which is what I love now. So I think that experience is something that I really treasure.
All right, yeah, that's great to hear. Lastly, could you just share with us what are your future plans?
Future plans. I haven't put too much thought into it yet, but after university, I do want to try working with some indie game studios in Singapore. I definitely want to support, our local creators. Uh, a few of my peers, they're probably going to go into bigger companies. I think you're familiar with Ubisoft, right? Like a lot of DigiPen students like to go there, but I would like to get some experience, maybe freelancing. Not easy, but I know I've built up enough of a skill set to at least try that path.
Okay, thank you so much, Yumi, for sharing your experiences with us. Hi, Samuel. Nice of you to join us today. So, if I could just ask, what are you currently doing right now?
So I'm currently working as a junior quest designer at Ubisoft Singapore. And as a junior quest designer, I do design missions, objectives, and tie the different gameplay elements of the game together to make an interesting experience for our players.
See, that's interesting. That's nice. How is it like working in Ubisoft then?
So Ubisoft is a really cool environment to work in. well, we do have ample opportunity to speak with different departments. And although now it's pretty much work from home, but from time to time, I do go back to the office, and there's an awesome pantry there as well.
I see. That's great. All right. How has TP prepared you for the industry?
So I think TP has given me a very good starting point to explore my interest in game development. So in game development, there's a lot of different components to it. So there's code, there's design, there's art, there's sound, there's production. So it's really a very multi-layered development process. And what TP has provided me was the opportunity to kind of explore these different areas in detail and to find what I was truly passionate about. So that ended up being design and production, and that has led to where I am here today. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And lastly, what advice would you give your younger self if you're still studying in TP?
I think the biggest advice that I'll give myself is to never stop chasing the impossible and pushing the boundaries of the technology, the design, and to just make the dreams that I have into reality. Yeah.
All right, thank you. I'll also take note of that in my case. Yeah. All right. Thank you, Samuel, for sharing your insights with us. And now we come to the final segment, which is the Q&A, where we will take your questions live. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for taking the time to watch our live stream. And I'm back. My name is Dr. Nalaka. I'm back here to answer any questions that you might have at this point. Okay, so please feel free to go in and type in whatever questions that you would like to ask us, and then we'll try to get to them as much as we can. Okay, the first question I got coming in right now is, do I have to be good in art or very creative for this course? I think that's a good question. As you saw from some of the speakers earlier, some of our students, we and our alumni as well, I think in this course, in the Diploma in Game Design and Development, we really focus on a broad-based set of skills. We want to be able to develop people not only in design, in modeling as well as in coding. And of course, then coming into areas such as immersive media. Okay, so we want to be able to give you that broad base so you can see where your strengths are. We don't expect everybody to be good at every part of it, but when developing games, especially games when you get to the third year of our course, we do expect to have teams of people come in with their different strengths, artists, designers, level designers, coders, okay, and then we'll come in to develop games in teams, industry games, for at least 4 months, for example. Okay, the next question I have is, I understand in the gaming industry, we need to work a lot of OT. Okay, so basically, I think in any industry, okay, in the gaming industry, just like in the ICT industry, okay, I think there will always be work hours. And I think OT is something more specific, I would say, to different companies if you have. But for us, from our experience so far, from all our students, okay, they do, their passion drives them and they continue to, and they do work in game industries. And sometimes you might have the need to go after hours, but I think that's balanced by the different companies and the different work cultures and the work environments you're in. Okay, the next question I have, does the course teach about AR, VR? Yes, so in today's climate, especially post-COVID, etc., we see even the demand for things like simulations, digital twins, building digital twins of different infrastructure, different environments around the world in different sectors of an economy, that as a critical thing. So underlying all that, of course, comes in skills like AR, VR, mixed reality. And yes, in our course, all students undergo modules related to mixed reality application development, currently in their year 3, and then they go on to do a lot of projects in their year 3 on ARVR. So we have lots of games we've been doing for AR, for example. We do also lots of other simulations for different sectors, MINDEF, RSAF, NKF. So you'll see we do a lot of serious games kind of work as well. And some of that involves a lot of AR and VR. Okay, next question I have is, I heard so much about the Metaverse. Do we learn how to develop in a Metaverse? Okay, so if you notice the recent, in the last probably 6 to 9 months, there's been a lot of discussion about a Metaverse from Facebook, for example, from Epic Games, and of course from other major industry players in the game as well as ICT sector. So in terms of Metaverse, it's really the blending of physical, augmented, and virtual realities coming together. And one of the key things for building a metaverse, for example, is that a lot of organizations need developers, especially game developers who have the skill set, for example, in AR, in VR, in UI, UX, to build immersive environments. So when you talk about metaverses in this course in Diploma in Game Design and Development, we include modules that are the foundation for such things, such as game modeling, such as game UI UX, which talks about immersive environments, such as mixed reality application development. And when you go to year 3, certainly we expect all our students to be equipped to contribute to that in the future as the concept of metaverse starts to grow in the industry. Okay, the next question I have is, what kind of companies are hiring our graduates? I think in terms of companies hiring our graduates, there's a wide variety. Okay, while we are Diploma in Game Design Development course, we, as I mentioned earlier, the skills that our students come up with, whether it's in designing, whether it's in UI, UX, whether it's in simulation building or digital twinning, those can be applied to a variety of companies. So for example, if I take the example of our 3rd year internships, we have students who go to a variety of places to do internships. They don't have to be only game companies. They don't have to be only indie companies. They can be MNCs. They can be government-related companies, banks, financial institutions, anywhere where there's a need to do any kind of game, educational environment as well, or even simulation. So the variety of companies for our graduates is very wide. And now with the metaverse coming in as well, that even expands it more. So you will see a lot of our students going for internships even in the area of immersive media, and as time goes on. Next question I have is this course very hard? I think as a game course, we are a course that does 2 types of skill sets. We're looking really at designers and developers, okay? And we don't expect everyone to be good at both, but I think that helps us, helps the students find their strength. And then when they go out of this course, for example, they will choose to do maybe UI, UX, maybe you do designing, maybe be a technical artist, or maybe even be a developer. So in that sense, it is still a programming heavy course, but you do have modules in game design, in Maya, in UI, UX, etc., to build that holistic set of skills that you need as somebody who would join a game industry, for example. Okay, the next question is, after this course, is it better to go and work or further my studies? I think that's a good question. Something we students do often ask us. I think for students from the Diploma in Game Design and Development, we have students who actually choose, whether it's post-NS or whether it's the girls or fresh graduates, they choose to go and work in game companies. Okay, or they even choose to go and start up their own companies and start publishing games. I think that's one of the benefits we have of this course, is that you don't have to wait. You can actually try freelancing and actually start publishing games, because in this course especially, we strongly encourage and require students, even in year 2, as early as year 2's first semester, to publish their games out so they can start building their portfolio. So we have students who can, by the time they get to year 3, before even they have internship, they would have had maybe 3 to 5 games out there, and that helps build their skills up. And also when they graduate or when they finish army, they can start up and do their own companies. For students who want to study, we do have a segment of them who are interested in studying, and depending on your interest, as mentioned earlier by our Diploma Manager, Mr. Malcolm. We have students who want to just do more on the technical track. They would probably go computer science and go into any of the local AUs, NUS, NTU, etc. And then students who want to really focus on the games aspect, they would go to SIT, Singapore Institute of Technology's DigiPan course, which is a very popular course around the world as well, and it has where you do a lot of game-related degrees, whether it's in game design, game development, etc. And as you saw from our alumni, Samuel and Yumi, you see that they've been going in these kind of courses, and then from there they go on to internships at Ubisoft, etc. Okay, the next question is, do you have to have a degree to work in game companies? I think that's a little bit related to the previous one as well. So I think the answer is no, it's not necessary, because students in the game design and development course really need to have a good portfolio. I think a portfolio is critical. If you want to be a technical artist or you want to be a designer, you need to show your assets. You need to have that ready to go when you go out there, and that will take you a long way, for example. Okay. Likewise, if you're doing coding, you're going to show some of your games and what kind of codes you use for that, whether it's in the area of AI, whether it's in the area of ARVR, etc. So I think that helps a lot. A degree is something you can, of course, do at your own time. But I think for game companies, I think very important is having that portfolio-driven approach. Okay, the next question is there are no game subjects in year one. Okay, may I know why? Okay, for those of you who would have taken a look at our course structure or modules from our TP website, you will notice that the first year, okay, and that's the first year for all students at the School of Informatics and IT, is a common year. Okay, why is that important? Because especially now, these days as well, we want every student who joins our school to have a strong foundation in ICT. That's really important. Okay, the reason that's really important is because once a student finishes a diploma, whether it's in this course or another course, you might decide, I want to just do a general ICT area. Okay, and as you know, a general ICT means you need to have a good foundation in areas such as analytics, coding, user experience, security, etc. So that's why that first year is really to build a foundation for all students who join the School of Informatics and IT. And then after that, you go on to specialize in year 2 onwards with your diploma-specific modules, which in this case are the more game-related modules. So that's why we don't really have any game subjects in year 1. We want to first build that foundation. And whatever you build in that year 1 helps you on. For example, when you learn the coding in year 1, it helps you when you go on to year 2. When you learn the user experience in year 1, it helps you when you go on to game user experience. Okay, even when you do things like networking in year 1, students might not see the benefit, but if you're going to do multiplayer game, networking games, etc., in year 2, you need that kind of foundation. So all that is really, every module in that first year is very relevant and helps build and helps you become more successful as you go on to the game-related subjects. Okay, next question is, what kind of facilities do you have? I think for us here at the Diploma in Game Design Development, we have our own Serious Games Hub. The Serious Games Hub really is to mimic the game production pipeline, which I mentioned earlier in this live stream. And we have different studios that focus on that. We also have an immersive tech kind of AR/VR studio, and that's really for students to try out with different headsets, try out different types of applications with different headsets and do the design, etc. And a lot of our students, when they do industry projects, they work in the Serious Games Hub with real industry mentors, with real industry problem statements, and try to solve them. And all these things that happen in year 3, for example, we bring teams of students together and they work on different types of games, for example. So we've had games in the past where students, a group of 5 would come and work on a game from MINDEF called Lion City. It was from a few years ago. Okay, and we would have artists, coders come in, and they would actually work for several months, 3 to 4 months in the first phase, do the first cuts, and then also meet with the industry, present to them, talk to them, and get feedback, on a regular basis, and then keep improving it through different iterations. And that's kind of the process we have when our students get to year 3, when they do industry projects. Okay, all of our students do 100% of all 100% of students go through industry projects, and then when they go on to internships as well. Okay, and that's where the facilities come into play as well, especially for the final year projects. Okay, next question is, do we let our students publish their own games while studying in the course? I think, yes, I mentioned that earlier as well. So from semester 2, semester 1, year 2, which is a 2.1 semester for us. Here, students are strongly encouraged as they take on modules such as game development to start publishing their games. So we expect students once they develop the game as part of the module, to publish it out. Okay, it becomes again part of their portfolio. Then subsequently, when they go to the second part of the year 2, they go into modules such as game maths and physics. They go into modules such as programming game engines. Okay, and these again give them opportunities to develop new games, whether it's 2D, 3D, and then publish them out. Likewise, when they go into year 3 to get in modules such as game AI, or even mixed reality or AR, they are asked to develop AR games or infuse AI into their games, and that helps again build a suite of games, I think, which is very, very important. It helps develop that portfolio that is really essential for our students, especially when they go out for internships. Okay, and in terms of internships, I think the next question talks about, do I choose my own company for internship, or will I need to find one on my own? For the diploma in game design and development, our students get the opportunity to self-source. That means because it's very portfolio driven, we do encourage students to go and find their own companies, okay, with the kind of roles they want. So as long as it's related to what we do, for example, UI, UX, or coding, or level design, or etc., if they can find it, we give them the opportunity, and we encourage them strongly to do that. Okay, I think that's about all of the questions we have today. So again, I want to thank everyone for taking the time to attend this webinar. And again, if you have further questions, feel free to check the TP website. Feel free to contact us if you have further questions, especially for students who are getting the O-level results out next week. We wish them the best as well. Okay, and do consider us if this is something of your interest. Thank you again. Bye-bye.